This is Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
Welcome back to Dateless in Del Rey, where we explore the wild, weird, and wonderful world of dating, relationships, and everything in between. Today's episode is a treat because love is on the menu, literally. My guests believe that matchmaking is like a 3-course meal. Don't rush to the next plate before you've finished savoring what's in front of you. And that's just one of the delicious metaphors you'll hear from my special guests, matchmakers Jessica Fass and her husband Brian Batchow of Fast Pass to Love. I love that name. But first, let's start with our quote of the day. Love rests on 2 pillars, surrender and autonomy. Our need for togetherness exists alongside our need for separateness. And that's by Esther Perel. She's a very amazing dating expert. And now it's time for a little segment we like to call You Can't Make This Shit Up. These are real dating profile gems that have been either sent in or found online. Ready? Looking for a woman who likes hiking, tacos, and letting me use her Netflix password. Okay. I'm a Scorpio. Translation, I'll either love you forever or ghost you tomorrow. Let's find out which. Okay. And finally, divorced but still friends with my ex. Don't worry, she only crashes on my couch 3 nights a week. No, thank you. Yep, these are real profile statements, and maybe our guests can help us with the protocol for making our profiles better in online dating. And if you've ever wondered whether matchmaking might be a better option than being on the apps, today's episode is going to have that answer for you. Here's a fun fact. According to the Global Love Institute, about 1 in 5 people who use a professional matchmaker end up in a committed relationship, a success rate much higher than the average online dating app swipe culture, where fewer than 10% of matches turn into lasting relationships. I don't know if that's 100% true. I guess if they said it, it is, but it's pretty surprising. So if you've ever wondered whether hiring a matchmaker is worth it, Jessica and Brian are here to give us the scoop. Fast Pass to Love is the premier international Jewish-focused matchmaking agency. They've been certified by the Global Love Institute, which I referenced earlier, helping commitment-minded singles find their partner for the past 12 years through personalized matchmaking, dating, and relationship coaching, online dating takeovers, as they call it, wingman services, professional photography, and image consulting. Think of it as your one-stop love shop, guiding clients worldwide toward meaningful relationships and happily ever afters. Jessica Fass, who launched her company out of a coffee shop in Tel Aviv, Israel, is an award-winning matchmaker who's been featured in everything from Bloomberg News to the Jerusalem Post, and even played a role in Netflix hit series Jewish Matchmaking. Want to hear about that? She's joined today by her husband, tech guru and co-head matchmaker Brian Batchow, who also happens to be a certified relationship coach. Together, they live in Palm Beach County with their mini poodle Zoolander, the third love of Jessica's life. Welcome, Jessica and Brian.
Thank you so much for having us, Susan.
Yeah, great to have you. So, Jessica, if we could start with you, could you tell us a little about your own love story with Brian and how it led you both to matchmaking?
Yes, definitely. And I think that our own story, our own journey can be very inspiring for singles out there. And I feel like God kept him for me from a while because I needed this story because it's good for business. It's good for morale with disillusioned singles out there that you can find love at 39. So we met when I was 39 and he was 36. We were both in the 30s. So I feel like if I had gotten the 4 in front of my age, it could have been harder. Yep. But the way we met was at a Jewish singles event, where I always tell my clients as well to not just sit back and wait for us to provide the match, that you need to be proactive and still be going out to events and meeting people. So I practiced what I preached. I was at a Jewish singles event myself. I told the matchmaker hosting it, I am going for myself. It's not for business. I'm not competing with you. And she was like, absolutely, you should come for yourself. I totally trust you. And please focus on yourself, because she knew people recognized me. I was kind of known in LA, that they might start asking me about matchmaking.
Okay.
So I go and Brian and I, number one tip, get to the singles event early, because it was quiet. We were like some of the first people there, and we could focus on each other before the distractions of everybody else coming in and the music. So I smiled and said hello. And that's like, ladies, that's really all they need as the go ahead. Like, it's safe to talk to me. Like, I will be receptive if you talk to me. So I did that. He said hello. We start chatting. Then I lost him at the singles event. And then I had to actually ask the matchmaker later, which I tell my clients to do with me. If you like someone at the event and you lose them, like, just try to get a name, because if we are the ones hosting the event, or a rabbi is, or even a lay person, they have the list of the attendees. Right. So they want to help you. You know, if you say, I made this connection with this person, can you help connect me? So she helped us after the fact. But as soon as she told him Jessica was interested, you know, he picked up the handkerchief, and then he reached out to me. So I did a little bit of the first move, which I tell ladies you need to be open to doing, because guys are clueless sometimes. They don't know if you're interested. So I did the first move, and then he closed the deal by asking me out after that. And I just also wanted to add, at the singles event, you don't come with your age on your forehead. So that was also kind of helpful, because, you know, we could connect regardless of age. And then he's like, finds out later, she's a few years older. It's fine.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a great story. So you're married 2 years now?
Yeah. We just had our 2-year anniversary, September 3rd. Mm-hmm.
Oh, muscle tough.
Thank you.
So you were not in matchmaking from the beginning of your career. What brought you guys there?
So I've been doing it for 12 years. I got into it because, you know how like a personal trainer, like sometimes like they were overweight, and then they did a whole transformation, and then they got into training.
Right.
So it's the same thing. Like I feel like the best coaches and the best matchmakers, like we struggled with something, we mastered it, and then we're like, okay, we figured it out. We want to help others. So I struggled with dating. I was a late bloomer. I didn't have my first boyfriend until I was 24. And so I went from like the late bloomer and then, you know, did a little bit of a makeover on myself, like actually lost weight, learned how to dress better, and gained confidence, and you know, learned how to attract myself. And then I learned how to write online effectively. So I did it. I built the muscle. Okay. Then I started helping others. And then I had heard of it as an industry from Patty Stanger, has the show The Millionaire Matchmaker. Right. So I knew it was an industry. Didn't know if everyday people did it as well, or if it was just for millionaires. And then when I was living in Tel Aviv, I started matching some friends, and they got married. And because I always loved to match people for friendships, for jobs, like I always put people together. And when I started doing it for 3 couples that started getting engaged, I was like, maybe
I'm good at this.
Yeah. And it's not just for millionaires, and maybe it can be for everyday people. And I Google it. I find the matchmaking, it was called the Matchmaking Institute at the time. Now it's the Global Love Institute. I find them online. I did the certification through online at the time while I was living in Tel Aviv. So I started it very slowly as like a side job, a side hustle. And I kept a day job, and then just kept meeting someone new at a coffee shop in Tel Aviv every day after work. And I'm like, I like this better than my day job. And then decided, the funny thing is I start in the land of the Jews in Israel. And that's when I met Jews from all over the world and realized that they come from Latin America, Australia, Europe, Russia. Sure. And then, so I kind of cut my teeth there, but I'm like, if I want it to be a full-time profession, I actually need to move back to the States. And so most clients are American Jews. We do still have some internationals and some Israelis, but the bread and butter is my fellow Americans. And I'm very happy because I met my husband here. He's very social and like always been like a good friend in his friend group. So he was like, when he found out what I did, it was like natural that he was like, I love that you work with people. He was in tech before. So he's like, I want to get more into this. And do you want to add anything, honey, that drew you to matchmaking?
Oh, well, a lot of it was just being with my wife and seeing all the good work that she was doing and all the help that she was giving people. And I think that even when we started dating, I looked at some of the processes of her business and I just saw what looked like some inefficiencies here and there, too many meetings, not enough emails, this and that and the other. And I looked at from the business side of it, and it was a really interesting way to use my existing skills and knowledge about how to organize.
Yeah, a business and matching.
Exactly.
It's an art and a science, I would
right,
imagine.
and I think that Jessica was very, very strong in the art of matchmaking, and there was some work to be done in the logistics.
Sure.
And when being with Jessica and being around matchmaking so much, I got drawn further and further and further in.
Right.
And over time became a more major player in the business.
Yeah.
And he can give the male perspective to the women and the men.
Right.
Not just this female perspective at them all the time.
It is a female dominated profession.
Yep.
I don't know the exact numbers on it, but it's got to be over 90% women.
Yeah.
Right. Do you happen to know from LA Julie Furman, the matchmaker?
Yes, we're good friends. And I've been on her podcast.
Oh, great. And she came on this podcast.
Oh, amazing. Wonderful.
I thought you might know each other. Yeah, I'm sure it's a small world of top matchmakers.
It is.
So this 3-course meal metaphor, where did you come up with that, and how does it apply to matchmaking and dating?
Sure. Well, we love to eat. So
Here.
It's easy to like use food as a metaphor. And it really is. It just like hit me because you're eating and like it all tastes so good. And then him and I too, like our eyes are bigger than our stomach. And then like later we're like, oh, we're so full. Like, why did we do that? And it's like this, it really goes with dating. Like you're like, I want 1 million dates. Like, like I got to get married. My biological clock, men and women can feel that a bit. And so they bite off more than they can chew. And they're going on 1 million dates from dating apps because it can be quick to get a date there. Or you hire a matchmaker and say, if I paid you all this money, I want a ton of dates. I only have you for 6 months or 9 months contract. So I want as many dates as possible. But a lot of our job is teaching them to slow down. And I was guilty of it too. Like I dated constantly because I'm like, I'm a matchmaker and I'm single and I need to be married already. So I was guilty of it as well. So I actually hired my own coach. Again, practice what I preach.
Yeah.
The star of the Jewish matchmaking show is my also good friend, Eliza Ben Shalom.
She is.
Yeah.
Oh, you are really connected.
Exactly. So she was coaching me even around the time I met Brian, which was like perfect synergy. And I believe that she also helped me, kind of nail him down to be my husband eventually. She came to our wedding and she said, like, Jessica's such a good matchmaker. She found her own husband. It was never hard for me to find.
Right.
It's about making it become the full-time, the full relationship. But back to the full course meal analogy. Yeah. So I say that my clients, there's the appetizer, there's the main course, there's the dessert. If you're dating so many people at one time, it's like you're asking to eat your appetizer, main course, and dessert at the same time. And that is going to lead to a stomach ache, and it's going to feel disgusting to be eating that much at one time. You can't even remember the flavors. You can't even enjoy,
right?
Because you're just trying to stuff your face.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. No, very, very, very true. So when you think about matchmaking and how do you position it against the dating apps or in conjunction with?
Sure. They're both tools and they can be also used together. And I have no problem with that in collaboration. And even a lot of the dating apps are getting into matchmaking now. I don't know if people have noticed.
I have noticed that.
You have? Yeah. Okay. So if like you go on JDate, I believe you can hire a matchmaker now also through JDate. And there's a few like that. And also we can use them by guiding our clients, like how to use them better. We actually have something also called the online dating takeover, where if the client's comfortable, we can go on the accounts as them and ghostwrite as them. And it's because some people don't know what to write. They just are so intimidated by like, what's the first message or how do I keep this chat going? And I actually studied screenwriting in college. So I used to joke I wanted to write romantic comedies for a living and now I make them.
Right.
So I'm very good at those kinds of lines to get the relationship.
Is there a risk there though that you have this wonderful repartee until they meet them in person and they're falls flat?
Correct.
It's possible, but what we really do with the online takeover is we really try to have as limited of an exchange as necessary.
Correct.
So we don't want to be in a position where we say something or give the impression that our client is someone who they are not. So usually there will be some sort of opening line related to something in that other person's profile. You get a little back and forth, and then you say, let's meet for this, let's meet for that, or here's my number, or can I get your number?
Right. So if
try
they
to
wanna,
have that done quickly.
Gotcha.
If they want to do video date, they can start with that. If they're like, you can just set up an in-person coffee, we'll do that, whatever the person's comfortable with, because you can't screen with online dating. And again, like Brian said, we want to try to write authentically in their voice, just a couple exchanges, and we will never lie. Like if they go, what's your favorite pizza topping? We actually will text our client and ask. Like we will represent the correct answers.
Yes.
And in matchmaking, the difference is it's just more curated. It's obviously, we have a database. We can contact the people directly. We invite them to a 1-hour video screening interview with us. I say that we pre-date everyone before they go on a date with each other. I take copious notes, or Brian does, and interviews them. And then we curate like kind of the ideal first date. If they might be people who like an activity, who likes mini golf or bowling on a first date, or an arcade, or they might be like, I like sit down dinner. I'm old school. So we also want to make it like an enjoyable experience. And then the key, we can call both sides for feedback after a date and get the true story, which you can't do with a dating app. We can never find that out from their side. We still try to coach based on what the client tells us about how the dating app date went. But if we curate it, we know that person, and they're going to pick up the phone and think of it as we're their confidence as well. And they tend to tell us the truth. People in life, they don't want to tell each other the truth, and it's painful and it's hard. And who wants to say to someone, you were great, but I wasn't physically attracted, or you talked too much about this and it turned me off. But we get that real feedback, and we can really help people learn and grow and do better on the next date.
Okay, so as far as you mentioned video dates, is that always a good idea before you meet in person, or is that just an alternative?
It's a good idea if you're doing online dating on your own. Like as soon as that was like invented, I always tried to do that for myself, because you're not getting catfished. You can kind of see if there's a vibe. It used to just be a phone call before and I always did a phone call back in those days too. So I really do encourage it. But these days, the younger generation seem to be more okay with like, let's just meet. Like they feel like the texting was talking, because texting has replaced talking for them. So they seem to be more okay with it. But yeah, to be like the safest, I would suggest it, and to know that like, okay, I'm actually meeting the person whose photos I saw, like they're not 10 years old.
Right. And if you, after doing that, what if you're not interested? It's okay.
Sure. You could say it if you're brave enough at the end of the call. Like it was great speaking to you. I just don't feel a connection. I don't think I want to meet. That's hard on a video call to
Very hard.
say it face to face.
You're ugly.
Exactly.
Oh,
so it's usually like, what I would do is, if they ask you out on the video call, you can say, oh, like, let me just check my schedule and get back to you. So you end it kindly, and then maybe text them later. I was thinking about it. I didn't feel a connection on the video call. I don't want to waste either of our times. I wish you the best. And like always say, I wish you the best. Positivity, it's karma. It goes a long way, in my opinion.
That's great advice. Yes, I wish you the best. What about your matches? If you have two people and they don't connect, how they tell you, and that's okay.
Yep. That's the hardest part of the job. Just yesterday I was saying to Brian, like, oi, like two feedbacks.
Yes.
Where the woman is not interested in continuing. It's so difficult.
And one is and one isn't, and then you have to let the other one
the
down.
two guys were interested, and in these cases, and the two women weren't. And so exactly. So you gotta. I strategically plan the call. I like actually like outline what I'm gonna say as well, because I really want to make it a learning experience and not too harsh, and take it as constructive criticism. And sometimes we brainstorm, like, this client's got this same feedback 3 times, Brian. Like, I think now is the time to tell him the harder thing. So we'll like strategically decide. I always say, if 3 people say the same thing about you, maybe it's something to work on. One person, it can be one person's opinion. Once you get to 3, that's something to work on.
That's great advice in life as well as in dating. Yeah. So you plan the date, you advise on the wardrobe, you coach them and how to come across in the best way.
Correct. Yeah. If they're open to it, we'll advise on the wardrobe. We might get them a stylist if they really need that much wardrobe makeover. We do a thing on Zoom even where they can go off to the side, put on outfit number 1, come back, show it to us. Okay, go change, put on outfit number 2, come back. Sometimes I can do an in-person styling session if they're open to it and I have a stylist I trust in their city. But if they're open to styling in person, I will always find a stylist for them. Some people are really not open. It's so interesting. We learn so much about our clients from that initial onboarding process. Like, how difficult is it to get them to like listen to us about their clothes? And then the photo shoot. Some of them fight on, oh, I don't want professional photos. And the more, or they're just nervous about it. And then, but the ones that at least let us give them tips about even how to pose, because there's tips for that. And the ones that are more open through all that onboarding process are easier to match when it comes to that. So you learn a lot about them through how open they're being, how closed they're being in that onboarding process. So yeah, even if they need a better haircut, we advised one guy actually to shave it, like shave it down more, and it looked much better.
Right.
And so it can be, and some women maybe they need hair extensions. Like, it's just gonna look more luxurious, you know, and you're gonna feel more confident when you've got like that longer hair to run your fingers through. And sometimes it can be hair color. We can advise, you know. Sometimes it could be the glasses frames, like we could advise on that too, because it makes a difference.
Okay. Before we jump into the next part of our conversation, we're going to take a quick break. So grab a cup of coffee, text your bestie about the last series of tips, and stay tuned. When we come back, we'll talk about why investing in yourself might be the secret ingredient to finding love. And we're back with Fast Pass to Love, Jessica and Brian. Jessica, you've been very open about working with all these stylists. So can you talk a little more about why it's important for people to invest in themselves, and maybe some common mistakes that clients make in prepping for a date and being on the date?
Sure. So it's important to invest in yourself because you are your biggest asset. It's the most important thing in your life is you. And people pay for therapists, they pay for personal trainers, they pay for hairstylists, you know, and what's more important than your love life? So I do think in like 10 more years, like almost everyone who's dating for serious, you know, for a monogamous relationship is probably going to be using a matchmaker because it just gets harder and harder out there on your own.
Certainly as people start pairing older and older. I mean, I think that if you meet someone organically in high school or college and you want to get settled down quickly, you're not going to see a matchmaker. But the social trend is in the opposite direction. The trend is that people are deferring, pairing up with their partner until their career is established, until they're done with their education, and particularly in the Jewish world, where the education level is very high. Yep. Generally, you have people waiting until after graduate school to start taking this seriously, and all of a sudden, you turn around and you're in your mid-30s and you say,
the clock's ticking.
And so, I think for that particular demographic, you're going to see more and more matchmaking as time goes on.
Will you work with non-Jewish clients?
Yes. So we started to take on non-Jewish. It was just that we were so busy with Jewish and we had like a good niche. So we just didn't like have time to start expanding. So we recently did. We have our roots now here in Palm Beach County, Florida. We actually live in Lake Worth. So like if local here and then LA where I'm from, we can take on non-Jewish because we have boots on the ground and we know both areas. And if we don't have big enough database for someone at the time that wants to work with us non-Jewish, we will make a referral to our trusted partners that are also certified by the Global Love Institute. So only the ethical certified matchmakers. And it's usually people I've met in person at some point because there's a couple of professional matchmakers conferences every year. We have one coming up in November. It's going to be Brian's first one. He's going to go in person and meet them all. I'm like, Brian, get ready for all the yentaing. And by the way, they use the word yentaing also with non-Jewish matchmakers because it's just such a known
it's a great
term.
Word.
It means busybody, like for anyone who doesn't know. And that's what matchmakers are. We are busybodies. We are in everyone's lives. So we will make a referral if we don't have the database for non-Jewish. And we will also offer the online takeover service because we can do that for anyone.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a lot of celebrity connections in your world.
Yeah, because I'm from LA.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Have you ever had someone who you couldn't find a match for, and how did that end up?
Yeah, that's a good tough question. We have, and it's usually because they're a little bit in denial about who they are, what they bring to the table. They weren't willing to do the work. We actually include also professional certified relationship coaches in everyone's package. So they probably weren't listening to the coach's advice. And even this is why it's like a system of checks and balances. I don't just rely on one person's opinion for this business because it's so subjective. So that's why if you have me and Brian and a relationship coach, and my mother works part-time in the business as well.
Of course she does.
Mama Fass. So yeah, and she I started the business, but I have to give her incredible credit because her warmth and depth and like understanding people, like I kind of adopted it from her. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't kind of have her knowledge, because she was a hospice nurse and an ER nurse. So, like she really knows what's a big deal and how to be empathetic and, and what's an emergency and what's not. And she just always gave great advice to her own friends too. So I started it on my own, but like she was kind of my first relationship coach before I got certified ones. And she still coaches a bit too, but she'd like to be a little bit retired, but she's still there.
Yeah. What's her name?
Lori. Yeah,
okay.
So Lori Fass gets her shout out, and she is like just a fountain of wisdom. And all of my colleagues that meet her, matchmaking colleagues and friends, say it too. And they're like, you're pretty good, Jessica, but your mom is the best with the advice. Long story short, yes. So if they've gone through all the levels, and even Mama Fass has also diagnosed them, like you're not listening, that's why they might not find someone, because they're not, whether it was they don't want to do a makeover on themselves. It also might have to do with losing some weight or it could be the clothes, or and if they're pushing back on multiple issues, that's going to probably be when they're not going to find a match. Not just themselves also,
but their expectations of really what's realistic for them.
Right, some people, so picky.
You can do all the work on yourself you want, but if you're a 50-year-old woman and you want to date a 35-year-old guy, it's just probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And we won't even take a woman client that's requesting that right now, but he's giving like an extreme example. But it's really either man or woman that isn't open to like a 10-year age gap. Well, with men, I try to tell them be open to maybe 5 years older. I understand men don't want to date that much older, especially if they want biological children. But women really need to be open to 10 years older. And I'm not saying you have to marry the guy 10 years older, but I was always open to like even 15 years older. My husband's 3 years younger than me. Right. It's about that mindset that like the more open you are on things, the universe will reward you more, and you'll get more of the checklist that you were looking for.
That.
When you come closed, it's so hard. If you come open, then you can slowly make the funnel smaller. When you come with your funnel already like this, it's so hard for me to get you like this.
Right. So where do you pull from? I know you said you have a database, but how do you avoid not just delivering the same matches that you could meet on Match.com?
Sure. So we have a partnership, and I'm very fortunate to have this partnership since 2018 with a site called Saw You at Sinai, which is I was the biggest Jewish matchmaking Jewish biggest matchmaking website, I would say. And so we are allowed to pull from their database as well. We pay them fees for, access. And I also have the partnership with Eliza Ben Shalom. So we also share databases. And then there's like a few other Jewish matchmakers too. And so we all like have this giant database together.
In addition to database members that we ourselves have cultivated over time.
Right. And we have our FastPass database, which is because of me being at events and promoting myself and sending recruiters and social media and all the things that businesses do to attract people to their databases. But so together there's like about 40,000 active singles at any one time who are Jewish, which is great. But then you always need more, because some of them go into relationships, and some of them are like, I don't want to be on these sites anymore. And so again, we always have to send recruiters out to like singles events to try to promote the business, and because it's always nice to meet people in person.
Right.
And sometimes I do my own events. Like sometimes I'm a speaker at it's called a Shabbaton, is like a Jewish weekend, or sometimes just a cocktail networking event as well. So yeah, we have to like be out there doing public speaking and singles events to draw people in.
Right. And just from a cost perspective, can you share being on the database and being a client, how it all works?
Sure. It's free to join the database, completely free. And then you could have a chance to be matched with a VIP client. And then to have professional matchmaking services done starts at $10,000. and goes up depending on if they want to work with us a year with a worldwide search to Europe and Israel. So it can go up to 40K. And also for young professionals, like if we have to like you too, because we're going to be like in kind of a serious relationship with you. I always say I'm in a relationship with the client until we get them married to their actual husband and wife, you know?
Yeah, right.
And Brian will say the same thing.
Yeah.
So, it like if we think you're being realistic and we really want to help you, we can go a little bit below 10K. You won't be working directly with me. You'll be with one of the other matchmakers on the team, and we'll do like a few introductions and the makeover and some coaching sessions. But 10K is like 6 months working like at least directly with Brian, sometimes me, and like actively searching for you and like getting your deal breakers list. I have 9 key preferences deal breakers that I allow people to go through with me, and I want them to be open. I'll try to get 5 out of 9 of them is kind of like my promise when I take someone on.
So you're saying they're the individuals deal breakers that they just don't want. They can't. Is that what?
Yeah, the deal
is?
break. I call them deal breakers and preferences list that I have. And I have a few names for it. I also call it the matchability self test because, and I have it in my booklet, which I'll point out because you can give this self test to yourself to see if you're being too picky.
Right.
So I go through these 9 key preferences versus deal breakers, and I say you can be sticky on like 5 out of 9 of them. If you're sticky on more than that, I probably can't take you on as a client. So that's like my first rubric to decide if I can work with someone.
Okay. All right. So you can have your preferences, but you have to be open-minded that nobody's going to have all 9.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your craziest or most or happiest story that you could share with us, a success story?
Sure. Yeah, there's so many. Yeah. Which one should I tell? Okay, the first one is Brazilian woman and American man. I have 2 couples where it's been an American man and a Brazilian woman, and the 2 men have the same last name, but they're not related, which is hilarious because in Jewish people's last names tend to repeat. But it's really cool. The first one, there is a significant age gap, about 20 years. He wasn't like aiming that it needed to be a 20-year age gap. It just, again, he was very open. He would date the whole U.S. Like he was a doctor, and brilliant, but coming off like if you've seen the show The Big Bang Theory, like too much, like too logical, like too scientific. And we needed to like lighten him up and learn some emotional intelligence. And we did, and gave him the makeover. And the coolest story was like, he still wasn't sure about her because she's from Brazil, and like this is a big commitment. And once I proposed, like that's it. And he just saw himself with an American, probably. Just thought that similar cultural background is what was going to work for him. Yeah. So it had to even be open minded. But then he actually loved her culture and loved learning about it. And so it was like a whole eye-opening experience. Right. So when he couldn't decide, she's like, I'm going to go back to Brazil. Like, it's time to propose. So we went to Brent's Deli in Los Angeles, which is like the best deli. It's not kosher, but it's amazing. And with my mom, because they had met my mom, and we were all living in LA at the time. And he really respected her opinion as well. As I said, she was the first coach. So we're like, let's all meet at Brent's Deli. That's a good, happy place where the conversation has to be happy if we meet there. And so we were asking the questions to get, like, we were kind of coaching him live at the deli to get him to realize that he was really in love with her and she's the one. And we got him to say out loud, I think we said, like, what's going to happen if she goes back to Brazil? And he ends up saying, well, my life is better with her than without her. So she has to stay and marry me. Yeah. And so that was wonderful and sweet. And another story with the other Brazilian, the other guy was also shy. And she got him out of his shell, like with her, Latin culture is very big and very happy and very loud. And he was a much more quiet, timid guy. And then we just hung out with them actually like a week ago. Oh. And Brian notices the difference too, because he got to see them at the beginning of their relationship. And he is like so outgoing and social and talkative now. So her like Brazilian culture. And at first, again, he was like, is this going to be too much for me? So I love how the women kind of rub off on the men. I mean, I've rubbed off on Brian. He joined my business.
I can see that.
And a last interesting one that I think is so helpful for people out there. a match I tried to make at first, the guy wasn't that into her. It was the first match I ever tried to make, actually, that inspired the business when I was living in Israel. He wasn't that into her on the first date, but I called both sides for feedback after. I realized that's how I started to realize the importance of the feedback for my own business. So he was, otherwise it would have just died. Like, he never would have called her again. And in the feedback, he's like, I just didn't feel it. And I'm like, why? And he really couldn't put his finger on it. I just didn't feel the connection. So I said, well, you have to at least tell her. And he goes, why? It's one date. It's nothing. Right. And I'm like, no, that's not right. I made the recommendation. You need to be accountable. So then he messaged her on Facebook at the time, but at least he did it in a very mature, kind way. And it left the door open for friendship. Yeah. And they really did stay friends because we were young in Tel Aviv and I was building my business and I kept inviting them to like the same singles events and they became friends on their own. Oh. They started hanging out. About a year of being friends, then he asked me for advice and he's like, I think that I could like her romantically now, but I rejected her before. Can you kind of do like a litmus test to see how she's feeling? Yeah. And I said yes. And I went to dinner with her and I brought it up and I was like, would you still be interested? And the key also is that she didn't say, well, no, he didn't like me a year ago. So humph. Like, no, there's no chance now. No. So ladies, don't be like that. Right. Like keep the door open because it could have been the wrong time or the person had to go through their own journey. And like I say, I mean, we can't completely compare our life to the movies, but in a romantic comedy, how boring would it be is if like they're just together at the beginning of the movie, there'd be no movie. So you usually see that the guy has to go through like some journey and then, or the girl, and they realize that the person they wanted was right in front of them and they had to go through this learning journey. So he had to go through that. And then he realized he had the great girl in front of him all along. And then he even asked me what to say to her on the first date to kind of take it romantic. And I even coached him what to say. And that's what we do for our clients even today. Like if they need a little script, like a text message script to follow up in between dates, or even they want a pre-date like prep session about I want to ask her to be exclusive on this date, or the girl, like how do I bring up that I want him to ask for exclusivity? So we'll help like them frame their narrative. Also with the help of our brilliant relationship coaches also. And Brian just got certified as a relationship coach. So he'll start talking to the clients even more directly. He's already had good advice before, and now it's official. Yeah. But you really sometimes people don't realize that you need to write stuff out in advance to when it's an important conversation. So you're not nervous, so it comes out right. Just like preparing for anything in life, preparing for a job interview. Would you just go in and not have prepared a bit? Right. And it's funny that people don't take their love life as seriously sometimes.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
It sounds like your experience in Hollywood has served you well in matchmaking.
Absolutely.
So what do you think, what skills that when you were on set with a show of transferable?
Sure. So I used to, it's so similar. It's funny. This analogy is a producer sets the stage, like they hire everyone. Mm-hmm. And so when our client starts their journey, I really do feel like I'm producing their love life because we're finding the hairstylist, the makeup artist, the fashion stylist, then the photographers. That feels like photo shoot day for a celebrity, an actor. And then the role switches to like the casting director because like I'm casting their match. Then back to the producer or the location scout. You're scouting the location. You're saying, okay, you're going to go to Dave and Buster's to have an arcade date and then dinner. So we're setting the stage. Then again, casting director calling for feedback and be like, okay, she liked you, but you talked a lot about your dog. You just kind of seemed obsessed. On date 2, why don't you go in, ask her more questions about herself? Because you just ended up talking a lot about yourself on that date. So that's like the feedback that a casting director does to say, okay, you got a second audition. Now go back and do it like this in front of the director and you might land the role. And if they really listen to everything we say, then they really might land the role. And then again, just like in the entertainment industry, sometimes it had nothing to do with them. It's just like they want someone else for the role and there's nothing they can do.
Right.
But at least they learn and grow from the feedback.
Yes. Excellent. Okay. These stories that you're telling really give you a different perspective on matchmaking. I really think you guys do it in a very approachable and interesting way. When we come back with Jessica and Brian, we'll get their best advice for anyone re-entering the dating world. So stay with us. And we're back with Jessica and Brian of Fast Pass to Love. What's your number one tip, Jessica, for someone re-entering the dating scene after divorce or a long marriage?
Yeah, really good question. First of all, you need to do some coaching and you need to do some work on yourself to like figure out why that relationship didn't work and what do you want now in a partner. And so some people come to us after they have gone to a therapist and worked on that a bit. So then we can probably start right away. Yep. And if they haven't, then I really want them to work with our coaches and get really clear and then get the expectations also more realistic, because they might say, well, because my ex-husband was this height, so and I was never fully attracted to him, so now I'm not going to settle. I only want this height. Right. That's just one example.
Heightism, as you mentioned, is a big thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I call it that women can be heightists.
Heightists. Yes.
I think I heard that from a colleague matchmaker.
Yeah, it's true though. That, money and height are two big criteria.
Right. And it also could be like sometimes they go, well, my ex's parents were divorced, so now it's like I can't be like, that's just a red flag. So like their parents need to still be married. It could be anything. Yeah. Or because my ex did this or that, but you can't bring that into the next relationship. Right. So that's the first thing. Everybody's you need to look at them as an individual, unique person and not carry the baggage with you. And then you also need to be open to, like, if you haven't dated in a while and you haven't taken care of yourself and your physical appearance, like maybe we're going to give you the feedback, like go and work on losing some weight for like a few weeks and then come back, or get a new wardrobe and then come back, or just for yourself. It might feel good to change your hair color, to change your look. And men can do different things with facial hair and regular hair and also dye their hair. So you can feel fresh if you change something before getting started. Do something to feel like the 2.0 version of you. Maybe you've never traveled abroad, or not for a long time. So you take that European trip and you come back and you just feel a little more worldly. You feel different. So you want to do something to get into like a new mojo energy, first of all, when you start dating again.
Okay. Do you find a difference between divorced people and widowed people?
Yes, because divorced, there can be a lot of scarring there, a lot of baggage, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of blame. It's not fair, more woundedness. Mm-hmm. Widow, of course, like is grieving, is mourning, and maybe also being a little more like naive and clueless about the dating world, and like widow, my heart just goes out to them, because and then if they had a good marriage, then they might like be comparing, it to widows. I feel like to them it might feel like cheating at first, like going on that first new
I've
date.
Heard that. Yeah.
So I can't even imagine. So I would always be very kind with widowers and let them like take it slow. It's funny you mentioned that, because we had a man that his friends were really trying to push him to do matchmaking. And he says that he's open to it, but then like we had an intro call and then we're supposed to move forward, and then he's like, I can't do this right now. And I just think the friends thought he was ready, but he's still not, so they got to really be ready.
Yeah, right. And the difference between men and women in matchmaking and on the dating apps, like who does better with which platform? Yeah,
that's a really good question. I as a generalization, I find men do better with matchmaking, having us as like their agents of love, that we are out there representing them, because when we reach out to women in the database and you say I have a paying male client, they feel like it's a golden ticket. Like, wow, this guy invested in matchmaking. Like he believes in that I know he's serious. So we really get them, like I say, fast pass to love. We really get the men to the front of the line with the women they want to date. Because even if a woman is not over the moon physically attracted by a photo, we write amazing profiles. People can also hire us for profile writing, by the way, if they want. So great. The profile looks so good that like the woman, because we've also picked her because we think she's a relevant match. And so when she's reading that profile, it's almost like, I can't say no to this. I mean, he presents well, like, because these are professional photos. The profile's well written. Obviously you picked me because I have some things in common with this guy. So they're going to get the date. Now, if a woman paid for a matchmaker, we can still do it. But the woman's expectations need to be curbed a bit, because if the woman is the paying client and you're going after the male who is like not the paying client, someone that we've recruited or they're in the database, like they didn't ask for it necessarily. So the woman is kind of like the pursuer, because we went after the guy. And there's that psychology of like men still kind of want to feel like the pursuer, like they chose you and not that woman chose him. So with online dating, it's people know it more in the general zeitgeist. Like people know it exists more than they know that professional matchmaking exists. So you've just got a bigger pool to begin with. Right. And then if a woman is relatively attractive on a dating app, puts herself together, has some nice photos, the man's default is to swipe right, like on everyone that's relatively attractive, and then hope that one girl will start talking to him. Women are more selective on the dating app, so they'll actually read it and swipe no more often, because these are also like stranger danger men to them on a dating app, so they really want a sense that it's probably a good match and a good guy. Right. But again, if the matchmaker reaches out because the guy hired us, he's been screened and they know that he's a good guy and we've done a background check. So with online dating, the woman really, and I had this when I was single, like you really have your plethora, like you have your choice of, so if you just write the opening line, ladies, as the woman, like most of the time you're always going to get a response. And if you just say to the man, I would like a phone call or a video call tonight, 9 times out of 10, unless he's busy that night, he's going to say yes. So you'll be able to convert quickly to get that phone call or video date, and then convert it quickly to a date. Men love that, because otherwise a man could just be chatting with you for weeks and just hoping you're going to allow him to get your number. So if you just make it easy for him, you could have a date constantly with online dating, just to help him convert it to a date.
Instead of having in your mind that the man should ask for your number, they're not going to necessarily do that. Yeah,
a lot of the good guys won't, because they'll think they're being too forward, because they've gotten it too many times where they did ask for a number after a couple of text exchanges on the dating app, and then the woman blocks him because they think oh, he asked for my number too soon. So a lot of the good guys actually are not asking for the number quickly enough. Yeah. So it's like how I met Brian. I told the matchmaker I was interested. He did not ask for my number at that singles event, even though we had a very nice conversation. He just got distracted. There were a lot of other people there, and he also kind of went there just to make friends that day. He was
so. What did you think when Jessica asked for your number?
I first got an email from the matchmaker, and I was like, I think I'm Facebook friends with this girl anyway. And turns out we were. I guess I'm not sure how that exactly happened, but I think she was just adding single Jewish men to her Facebook.
To my Facebook. I was for my network.
And she talks about these profiles, and I read her profile, and it just. It really seemed like it was largely what I was looking for. And it was interesting because I was, in the process of moving back to Florida from California. So this isn't what I was looking for, but it just kind of found me. Right. And it was... You talk about that professional profile being so good. It was
because I had written the professional profile myself.
That really did rope me in. Yeah.
And then see, I didn't know Brian was such a relevant match for me because we just had a short conversation. But my profile said I love Disneyland, I love karaoke, I love these kinds of podcasters. And then he read it, he's like, I like all those things too. And so then he really knew then he got even more excited because he saw all the things that made us a relevant match. We were aligned the same Reformed Jewish level, the same politics. Came from the 2-parent home. Both of our parents are both doctors, and it's just wow, we just have such similar upbringings, and things in common too. And you don't have to have everything in common with your partner. Definitely not. It was just it's nice when something stands out. Oh, I'm a nerd for Disney stuff and karaoke too. That's cute. We already can. Talk about that.
All right, so be specific in your profile. Don't
exactly.
Just, don't be generic.
Oh, I call it when you're generic. I call that a vanilla, generic bland profile. And when we help people rewrite profiles, I call it we want the dark chocolate with the nuts and the cookie crumbles. What do people like better at the ice cream shop? They like the interesting thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Quickly. In the time we have left, we're going to do a lightning round. I'm going to put you on the spot. So. Sure. What is a universal red flag on a first date?
You want to say first? Or universal red flag.
I guess the man not offering to pay.
Oh, there's a good one.
That's really good.
Even though, and furthermore, the women not offering to split. Not that they're actually going to split. Not that that's actually the intent, but at least offering.
Okay, so you should always do the reach.
Yes.
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
Controversial. I've had other guests that said don't.
Really?
Just let the man pay don't even offer, but you like the offer.
We found that the men over time, the feedback has shown that men appreciate that.
Yeah, because they see that the person's being generous.
They don't even intend on actually splitting the check. It's just the
generosity,
the action.
Yeah. Okay. So good red flag. How about yours?
Yeah. If they really just keep talking and don't take a breath and don't ask you any questions, but the only thing I would say is sometimes that means that a man is nervous if he does that. So ladies, if he does that, so it's a fine line between arrogance and nervousness. And even Brian, like I'll say, like on our date, he did that a little bit and he like overshared, but as a professional matchmaker, I kind of took it as he liked me, he trusted me. So that's the other thing it could be. It could be that they like and trust you, so they just feel that they can just open up and put everything on the table. So ladies, if he does that, give it a second date. Try to give him light feedback. I did it to Brian too. I said, our last date felt a little heavy. It was a lot of talking. Why don't you bring your dog, our mini poodle Zoolander, to the park and we go for like a walk and like have ice cream and like walk and talk, and that's how you can like liven up the date, that there's the environment to interact with as well, and then you can see them in a different light. But then if you go on a second date and they're like that, if they're like that, they could be narcissist and arrogant. So I understand that. And also if a woman just talks about herself and doesn't ask you anything, goes both ways.
All right. And how about a green flag that people often overlook? What's something positive trait?
Yeah. So if the person if they have good values or like and some things in common, like especially if it was matched by a matchmaker and you knew what those things were going in, like if it is a little bit of an awkward conversation or something, don't if you don't feel the fireworks, that's actually a green flag. Like if it's just a good person, you feel calm with them, and you're curious and you want to learn more, and it doesn't need to be fireworks. And like I even say, sometimes fireworks is a red flag. And think about it, fireworks are fiery, right? Red.
Right.
So the green flag is because it works better when it's a slow burn, when it takes time to like heat up. Again, with my romantic comedy analogy, you don't want the two leads together. You want it to be a journey, that the delayed gratification. Right. So if the values are there and there were some things in common and you see why either the matchmaker matched you or like, again, this is why you picked them from the dating app because you saw some things in common, like give it more time. That's all. Like if he's good, if it's not a no, if it's not 100% no, it's a yes until maybe date 4. You'll maybe realize it's a no.
Yeah, so I'd say for the green flag, it's really values. I mean, she talked about fireworks, and that's fun, and everyone likes that type of romance, and it's important to have that too in a relationship. But what really leads to lasting marriages, it's having similar values. You 5 years, 10 years down the line, you find out that you have completely different ideas of right and wrong. You have different ideas of religion. You have different ideas of how you should raise children. Mm-hmm. You're going to run into problems. Okay. And you might not run into those problems while dating. Yeah. So everything might seem really fine until it's not. Yeah. And so I'd say the green flag is their values match theirs.
Okay. Yeah. Dream celebrity couple you'd like to match.
Oh, wow. I think Travis and Taylor is amazing. I have to say that is so good for society really? because she was known as the singer who just went through a million boyfriends and wrote songs about it. And it was empowering to like be single and get to write all these love songs. And I once made a post a couple years ago, though, like, if there was no heartbreak in the world, then Taylor Swift would have no career and we wouldn't have all these amazing songs. So it does help us get stronger when we go, and it leads to great art. But it's a great thing because all the women that are kind of like girl power, like I don't need a man, or, I'm just going to be alone. And even some men, there's a movement called the Men Go Their Own Way. Oh. I forget what's it called. MGTOW. Yeah. For really? men going their own way, where they just want to stay single because it's too much effort to be in a relationship. Yeah. So for both sides, like, because he is a big football player who could have anyone he wants and just date forever too, and have a series of endless hookups. She could too. Yep. But they've decided like they value marriage, and that's why she wrote this Instagram post. Your English teacher is marrying your football teacher.
Right.
I kept seeing that. I didn't know.
Yeah, she wrote that because she's trying to say like we're relatable. Like it's so cute we're together, because it's like when you loved your English teacher and your PE teacher, and you wanted them to be together. And so she's bringing like American values and like valuing marriage like back. And she's 35, so it's also showing you can be 35 and still get married. And so it's just lovely.
Well, you can
and
be 35, get married if you're Taylor Swift, right?
No, but look, I was 39.
Obviously you can.
I was 39 when I met him, 40 when I walked down the aisle. But let's see, celebrity couples who are currently not dating who could be. That one's just like such a good match. Like when she was dating like all these other musicians, like I wanted her with like a big burly manly man. And so because I think she's so famous, like who can handle that? You know, like he needs to be so secure in himself.
Yeah.
And he's famous in his own thing. On their podcast, they even said, the one that she just went on with him recently, they said they get each other's lifestyles, because hers is called a concert when she's on the stage, his is called a game. You know, when they his is called a practice, hers is called a rehearsal. But they do the same thing, and they're not competing because it's different industries too.
They both perform,
and him and I now are going to be in business together, but like he'll have the male perspective and I'll have the female, so we're not competing in that way, because like it's a whole different perspective.
Very good point. Yeah.
And but another celebrity. Can you think of a celebrity couple that we would match?
I've been trying to think of one this whole time.
Should be together.
I couldn't really think of anything.
If something pops up at the end, I'll let
Mickey
you know.
Mouse and Minnie Mouse.
They're all together. They're together already.
I look at like Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner and J-Lo, and like I think these beautiful people with money
can't figure
and
it
kids
out
together.
Oh, here's my thing about that. Yeah, so I really hope Travis and Taylor make it, by the way, because there's going to be so much. There's going to be so much stuff in the way, like tempting them, and the noise of the media, you know, getting in the way. Because we always wanted them together. Now the media is going to be jerks and like try to say there's trouble in paradise, you know, and make up stories. But it's very hard as a celebrity to stay married. And because if you have everything, there's a saying, it's lonely at the top. It's really hard to be faithful when you're Ben Affleck and you could have anybody in the world. I think they broke up though because he like maybe was back in his addictions. I'm thinking. And there's a famous psychologist that always says the only reasons for divorce are abuse, adultery, and addiction, the 3 A's. Everything else you should try to figure out. I think it was Dr. Laura from a long time ago.
Wow.
And it's really true, because everything else can try to be worked out. And even some people work through adultery, you know, if people are really sorry and they want to be faithful. But those are kind of like the only 3 real reasons. Everything else you should try to you should try to figure it out.
Such a good
analogy.
I would say even for those three
you
things,
can try to work them out too.
Yeah.
Abuse. I would
you
say you
can.
might not be able to. The others, people can deal with addictions. They can get over them. People can get over and stop infidelity.
Right, if they can't or if they don't want to, then that's a reason to. But that's why, and a lot of these celebrities have those things, and that's why they can't stay together. And again, if you have everything, aren't you going to want to like try a younger model, or you know, like, because if you can have everything, so hard. I'm really very curious to see if Justin Bieber makes it with his wife. You know, like and Selena Gomez just got engaged. I used to know her as a kid in Hollywood.
Is that right?
And she it's a Jewish guy. It's funny. His stage name is Benny Blanco, but his real name is like Benjamin Levitt or something. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he's got the
Jew fro. I said, Brian, Selena Gomez is basically marrying a version of you. Like they look similar, and I'm like, this is like so cool. And she even realized
I got a version of Selena Gomez.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you did.
Aren't you too lucky?
And I'm saying like that's why our Jewish men are the best. That's why. Who else was like who was with one of our Jewish men lately? Like I didn't know he was Jewish, and I can't think of it now.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this new sitcom on Netflix, amazing, about a Jewish family, and it's just about like all of their dynamics and things, and it's so cute. It's called Long Story Short. And
really?
It jumps around in time to like the 90s when the kids were young. Sometimes it goes back to when the parents were young to the 50s. Then it comes back to present day.
This Is Us.
It is. It's like This Is Us
for Jews.
For Jews as a cartoon show.
Yeah.
And it's been very deep. Brian and I are watching it. We're like, this is so deep about like families and relationships. Yeah.
Well, I can see you two are great role models for your clients and having a fantastic relationship and meeting a little bit later in life in terms of, you know, you're not old, but you're young old, I guess.
Sure. They would call us later daters, like later stage marriage. So I do want to end with making sure your viewers have a lot of hope that you can find your person later in life. You just look. We both took some things off the list, but like we're still very happy.
Say.
Yeah, and I just like to be honest to like tell people that it's, you know, it's if you're gonna get married later in life, like look, he took someone a few years older than him, and So it's
if it feels good and it feels right, you can work a lot.
Yeah, the values is like what we have, and of course there's physical attraction too. I'm not going to lie and say that's not important, but I also believe that it can grow because I had been in relationships where it grew. I've seen clients, so don't just because you're not like wow.
And in a long-term sense, frankly, it eventually wanes. I mean, when you're in your 70s, chances are your partner's not going to look like they did when they were in their 20s or 30s, and that's okay. Yeah. I mean, that's life.
And my mom says, though, she's still like her and my dad, they still see each other as they looked at 16. So it is really good to meet like younger, and then you appreciate them as they age, their beauty.
That's right. And so there are some hot 70-year-olds, and they stay in shape. Well, we're going to be wrapping up. You have a brochure to show us, and then we'll...
Sure.
Yeah. What do you got?
Sure. So I have my How to Be Your Own Matchmaker booklet. I also can give this to people if they want to email me, the digital version. So we put this little booklet together so that you can meet our team in here as well. But it gives you tips like how to be your own dating app takeover expert. The matchability self-test, like I talked about that rubric. Give this test to yourself, and if you're closed on 5 out of 9 of these, you might want to get a little bit more open. Okay. There's discounts for a discounted matchmaking strategy session and links to book a free intro call. So if you live in South Florida, maybe I'll meet you at an event, a singles event. I can give it to you in person, or you can email me at jessica@fastpasstolove.com.
She's a bit of a world traveler too. You might see her in New York. You might see her in California.
Nationwide traveler,
yeah.
And
I guess that's not the world.
And the world when we go to Israel,
Right. So just to clarify, your last name is F as in Frank, A, S as in Sam, S as in Sam.
Correct.
So it's not Fast Pass, but Fast Pass.
Right, correct. Yeah, there's no T.
And that's your website as well.
Yes, fastpasstolove.com, and jessica@fastpasstolove.com is my email. And again, just FASS, no
I had
T.
to let her keep the name. I had to.
Right. This is true love, everybody. If
wait a minute. We're looking at a tattoo.
Yes. So this is the Fast Pass to Love.
Oh my gosh, Brian has that on his upper thigh. Okay.
Yeah, Brian has the logo that
it was kind
he
of
wanted
peeking through anyway while sitting here. I didn't know what the angles of the camera were going to be.
That is.
I got that 3 days after we got married.
Oh,
so that shows his devotion and that he's all in on the business and me. And I didn't even ask him to do it. He's just like, the logo's so cute, I want it. So I was like,
awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Jessica and Brian, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Susan.
Your story, your humor with us today. You've shown us that matchmaking isn't just about finding a date. It's about building the foundation for love, confidence, and long-term connection. For listeners who want to work with them, as we said, you can reach out to Jessica at fastpasstolove.com. Well, that's it for today's Dateless in Delray episode. Remember, dating isn't about rushing to the next course. It's about savoring the journey and enjoying every bite. Until next time, stay curious, stay hopeful, and don't necessarily stay dateless. We'll see you next time.